query number 19, it's asking us to rewrite the equation of the tangent line to the curve at each point. I'm just going to do this first point, and then I hope that you guys will be good after that, because it's kind of just going to be repetitive after that. So equation of the tangent line at this point, okay? If I want to write the equation of tangent line, I need a point and a slope. Luckily, they give me the point. So I'm like kind of already getting going. Y minus the y1 equals the m times the x minus the x1. What I need now is the slope. How do you find slope of parametric? Well, it's dy dt over dx dt, or in this case, dy d theta over dx d theta. I'm going to find dy d theta. If you want to rewrite the 2 sine squared as 2 sine of theta squared, it will help you remember the chain rule. The derivative of that's going to be 4 sine of theta to the first times derivative of the inside part. Derivative of sine is cosine. I also need to do dx d theta. Derivative of tangent is secant squared. So derivative of cotangent is negative cosecant squared. Okay, so the derivative of 2 cotangent is negative 2 cosecant squared. Okay. So then dy dx would just be those stacked on top of each other. You can do fancy simplifying if you want. I'm not going to. But now we're going to run into the kind of a tricky part about this problem, which is I want to figure out what dy dx is at this point, but this is a point. This is an x and a y. It's not a theta. So I don't know what to plug into this formula. What do I plug into this formula? Well, I need to figure out the theta associated with this x and y. How do you do that? Well, you plug this in for x and this in for y, and you solve for theta. Okay? So you set negative 2 over root 3 equal to 2 cotangent of theta. And you solve that. Let's solve that real quick. Divide both sides by 2. I get negative 1 over root 3 equals cotangent. In other words, tangent equals negative root 3. Unit circle, unit circle, unit circle. When does tangent equal negative root 3? It's going to be at pi thirds or 5 pi thirds. I'm going to do a similar thing with the y coordinate. I'm going to set 3 halves equal to 2 sine squared of theta. It's right over here. 3 halves equals 2 sine squared. I'm going to solve, solve. Add both sides by 2, square root both sides. I have root 3 over 2 plus or minus root 3 over 2 equals sine of theta. When the sine positive or negative root 3 over 2, that's at pi thirds, 2 pi thirds, 5 pi thirds, or 4 pi thirds, 5 pi thirds. And when I look at these two lists, I need to figure out the thetas, or the theta rather, that would give out this point. So if I picked 2 pi thirds, that gives out the right y coordinate, but since it didn't show up over here, it doesn't give out the right x coordinate. So I need to look at these two lists, that should be a 2 pi thirds, and figure out what point they have in common, and the answer is both 2 pi thirds and 5 pi thirds are both correct thetas. They are correct thetas because if you plug them in, you get out this x and y. Okay? So I could use either of those and I would get the same answer. I'm just going to use 2 pi thirds. So now I'm going to find dy dx. Now I have a theta. I'm going to use theta equals 2 pi thirds. And I'm just going to do some math here. Sine of 2 pi thirds is root 3 over 2. Cosine of 2 pi thirds is negative a half. Okay, so sine is root 3 over 2. So cosecant is 2 over root 3. 2 over root 3 squared is 4 thirds. So we get negative 8 thirds on the bottom. And I'm going to get negative root 3 on the top. So I'm going to get positive root 3 over 8 as my slope. So I'm going to grab 3 root 3 over 8. I'm going to toss that in here. And now I have the equation of my tangent line. Okay. Very similar process with the other points of the problem they give you. Just going to repeat that process. You don't need to repeat all of this. You have your dy dx. You're going to plug in, or sorry, you need to first, for each one of those new points, find the x and the, or take the x and the y and find the theta. Take that theta, plug it into dy dx, use the different points, and you're good. Cool. That concludes it. Thanks for watching.